All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dig into the engine of social anxiety. And we're not just talking about that feeling of dread you get before a party. We're talking about a powerful, self-sustaining loop that can keep you trapped in anxiety long after a conversation is actually over.
You know that feeling, right? You're lying in bed, hours after a totally normal chat, and your brain just will not shut off. It's playing back every single word, every pause, obsessing over whether you made some kind of huge mistake. It's something pretty much all of us have done. But what happens when that's not just a passing thought?
For someone dealing with social anxiety, that mental instant replay isn't an occasional glitch. It's practically the main operating system. It's part of what experts call a vicious cycle. And the research shows this cycle actively keeps the anxiety going, sometimes even making it stronger over time. It literally feeds itself. And today, we're going to map out exactly how that works.
So the first piece of the puzzle actually starts during a social situation. It's a thing called self-focused attention. Imagine for a second you're holding a spotlight. Now, in a normal conversation, you'd probably point that light at the other person, right? You're focused on them. But with social anxiety, that spotlight does a complete 180 and shines right back on you.
The way cognitive models, like the famous one from Clark and Wells, describe it is as this really intense inward monitoring process. So instead of actually paying attention to the conversation, your mind is just laser focused on tracking your own internal data. Stuff like, is my heart beating too fast? Am I blushing? Oh God, what am I doing with my hands? This internal checkup becomes the main event.
And this really shows you the night and day difference. When your focus is external, you're in the moment, you're engaged with what's actually happening. But when that focus turns internal, you basically become a spectator to your own anxiety. You get so busy watching yourself and judging your own performance that you completely miss what's going on in the actual conversation, including all the positive signs from the other person that could have told you everything was fine.
And the research on this is just crystal clear. Study after study has shown that when you guide people with social anxiety to just shift their attention outward, to the room, to the other person, their anxiety levels actually drop. Their negative thoughts get quieter. It's amazing proof of just how powerful this one little shift in focus can be.
Okay, so you made it through the social event. Whew, but the anxiety is far from over. For so many people, the second, and you could argue the most damaging, part is just getting started. It's called post-event processing, or PEEP, and the best way to think about it is like a biased instant replay of everything that just went down.
Now, PEP isn't just you remembering what happened. Oh no, it's an active, supercritical, and often totally distorted analysis. The research describes it as this mental rumination loop where you just go over and over the interaction in agonizing detail, but you're looking at it through this intensely negative filter. You're not just remembering the event, you're rejudging it as a total failure.
So what does this actually feel like in your head? Well, it's obsessively replaying one stupid sentence you said. It's zooming in on that one moment when your friend yawned and deciding, yep, that's it, it's because I was boring. You might even start to rewrite the memory itself, making it way, way worse than it actually was. And then, that horrible feeling can trigger memories of other times you felt this way, and suddenly you're drowning in this loop of shame and anxiety.
Okay, now here is the really crucial part. These two things we've been talking about, the self-focused attention and the post-event processing, they aren't separate issues. They actually link up and create this incredibly powerful feedback loop that reinforces all your negative beliefs about yourself.
So let's just walk through how it works. It starts with a core belief. Something like, I'm just an awkward person. So when a social situation comes up, that belief gets triggered. That makes you turn your attention inward, start monitoring yourself for any sign of awkwardness. And when you feel your heart racing, you don't just think, oh, I'm a little nervous. You think, see, this is proof that I'm failing at this. Then later, that post-event processing kicks in, and it uses that proof to slam the gavel down and say, case closed, you were awkward. And just like that, the loop is complete, and that original belief, I'm awkward, is now stronger than ever. And this isn't just some abstract idea. The science totally backs it up. This model from a 2024 study shows a direct, measurable link. The more anxiety you feel during an event, which, remember, gets cranked up by focusing inward, the more you're going to ruminate and pick yourself apart after the event. The two are completely connected. And the consequences of this loop are huge. We're talking real clinical impacts. This rumination can go on for hours, even days, which keeps your body in a state of stress. It systematically hammers in negative beliefs like nobody likes me.
And here's the kicker. It often leads to avoidance. Because who would want to go through that painful aftermath again? So you start turning down invitations, which of course only leads to more isolation.
I know, this all sounds pretty intense. But here is the single most important part of this whole explainer. This loop is not unbreakable. Because it's a mental process, we can actually use mental tools to interrupt it. The whole key is about reclaiming your focus, both during and after social events.
So how do you actually fight back? Well, there are strategies that are proven to work. First, there's cognitive restructuring. That just means actively challenging those negative thoughts, asking yourself, okay, but is there any other reason they might have yawned? Another one is to limit rumination. Literally set a timer for 10 minutes, let yourself worry, and when it goes off, you consciously move on to something else. There's also affect labeling. Just naming the emotion out loud, I am feeling embarrassed, has been shown in studies to actually dial down its intensity. And finally, there's mindful redirection. The moment you feel that loop starting, you deliberately shift your attention to something physical, right here, right now, like the feeling of your feet on the floor as you walk.
And that really brings us to the main takeaway here. This entire anxiety loop we've been talking about, it's all powered by where you put your attention. First, it's aimed inward at yourself, and then it's aimed backward at the past. So if your focus has the power to build this whole painful cycle, doesn't that also mean that learning to redirect your focus has the power to tear it down? All the research we have suggests the answer to that is a resounding yes.